and welcome to this live Q&A all about manifestation. Please let me know in the comments if you can hear my voice, and then we can just start. Can you guys hear me? In any case, thank you for being here. I appreciate your presence. And I'm a manifestation coach. If you are new to my channel, I have over 15 years of experience with conscious manifestation. I started out with everything that didn't work for a bit until I found out how manifestation works, and then I stuck with it. So I have experience both with the things that don't work and the things that do work. And still, please let me know if you can hear me or if I'm just talking to myself. Oh, hi there. Cinnamon Sun? What a cool name. You guys can ask me any question about manifestation in the comments, and then I will just answer one by one. And this can be just general questions about manifestation or your specific manifestations. Somebody's asking, how can I make my online crush fall for me quickly and get him to message me? Given that I don't know him well enough to get in touch with him, I haven't even seen him in person. Is it still possible? Yes, it is. It's possible. You have to affirm or imagine your desired outcome, which in this case is him messaging you. You either affirm that he's messaging you or you imagine the messages coming in. Manifestation has nothing to do whether or not you know him in this case, because something will happen that will make you talk. So the SP topic in manifestation is very popular. It has always been. Many people are manifesting either a crush or a more serious relationship. And there's always this question, if I don't know them, how will it manifest? It will manifest somehow. I also get questions sometimes about the distance. If you live even in different countries, that also doesn't matter because manifestation will figure it out. What else are you guys manifesting? Is everyone manifesting an SP? The how in manifestation, by the way, is never our concern. So is something possible? How will it ever happen? Is your human brain, your human mind, that is trying to figure it out in the 3D, figure out a way in the 3D that is never ours to figure out. Everyone who is online, you guys can drop the comments in the as your questions as comments. Someone I knew wholeheartedly believed for years that aliens would arrive and take them aboard a spaceship and devoted their life to that belief. Why did it never happen? Doesn't that contradict the idea that something will happen simply because it is our mind persistently? Yes, it does contradict the idea, but when these kind of things don't happen, I mean, it can now, the topic here is aliens. Another person will tell you, I've always believed I will be wealthy, or I've always believed I will be this or that. There has to be something else in the mind that contradicts that belief. And this is why we work with assumptions and with beliefs and with general beliefs also, because you can believe one thing and then have another belief that sort of contradicts it. For example, well, I always bring the example of self-concept. Someone is manifesting an SP. They are completely convinced that they are going to be with their SP. And then there's something else in the self-concept realm that contradicts it, or general beliefs about relationship. But here I have to say there's something that stands out, which is the future tense of the belief. This has to be addressed, because at some point aliens will come and do something. What was the question? Arrive and take them aboard a spaceship. That they will arrive. This is the reason we affirm in present tense, because your mind doesn't interpret the things that you think and believe. It takes it very, very precisely and very, how do I say it? Like copy paste. If they will arrive, then yeah, this is manifesting perfectly. They will arrive in the future. It will happen. This is why we affirm, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am with this person. Like, unless the person believed, if you said that the person believed that they have arrived and have taken him abroad, or already has happened, then yeah, it would be weird. But this, yeah, it makes sense. That, or a contradicting belief. I'm getting lots of resistance getting back into my SP manifestation practice. It's been a year since we last spoke, and I'm losing hope in complete no contact. Are you losing hope in manifestation, or are you losing hope in getting back to contact? Because if it's been a year, there's a chance you haven't been persisting. There's a chance you've been back and forth. But yeah, also you say getting back into my SP manifestation, so you haven't done it persistently. If you're thinking that you haven't been in no contact for a year and then it will be hard to manifest, then no, don't worry about it. Your mind will make it happen. Because I had a client once who was manifesting an SP, and her worry was that they hadn't been talking for 4 years. And she kept saying, Anna, why will he ever want to talk to me after 4 years? First of all, because you're manifesting it. Because once you start manifesting, they will get the thoughts, the ideas, the feelings, the wanting you, missing you, wanting to get back in touch. So don't worry about that. And another thing, it was that in her case, 4 years, in your case, 1 year, you're thinking about them, right? They are just a person just like you, with thoughts and feelings and memories. The person could be thinking about you and to have the same thoughts, like, oh, it's been a year. What is Cinnamon Sun up to? I wonder if they will ever want me back. They could have the same thoughts. So just manifest. Get into manifesting, affirm your desired reality. Your mind will make it happen. Hello, beautiful Anna. Hi, Star Goddess Love. You guys have the best nicknames, or what are these called? So happy I made your life. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so happy you're here. Let me know if you have any comments, questions about manifestation. What are some of the ways we can get into the state of being chosen? I am having difficulty feeling this. Something like reading love stories, love songs could help, probably. I haven't done stuff like that, to be honest, to manifest ever. It could help for some people. What I do personally, and what I recommend, at least my clients to do, is the proven methods, the assumptions, changing the assumptions. If you focus on the thought of being chosen and then contemplate on that, dwell on that, at some point that will have to create the feeling, because your mind and body have to calibrate. Let's take the negative example. For example, when you are feeling really anxious or stressed about something or anything like that, the story happened first. There was some persisting in some fear, in some doubt, until it manifested as a feeling in the body. The same is true for the positive. Affirm that you are chosen. And then ask yourself, how would I feel if I were chosen? Keep asking that. At some point, it will come. Or what situations would I be in if I were always the chosen one? How can I manifest finding a well paid job that I can do from home as soon as possible, as I need work urgently? In order to manifest anything as soon as possible, the best thing to do is to affirm or imagine it's happening now, because there's no quicker time than right now. That's one thing. Another thing, in this case, define it for yourself and keep persisting in that story. What does it look like? What does your day look like? Or just simply affirm. I mean, what does it look like when you have the job? Simply affirm that I have a well-paid job working from home. I have a well-paid job working from home, or something similar that resonates. Create a statement, a simple sentence that means that you have a well-paid job and you're working from home, and repeat that to yourself. That's the simplest way to manifest, to be honest. If you guys have additional questions to my answers, you're welcome to ask them. The last thing I want to do is to confuse you. Hi, Anna. I don't even know if I want my SP anymore after years of affirming. Why is that happening? I want to ask, what are you ignoring? Because is there another assumption that you have about this person or about you in this relationship that you are ignoring? Something that is contradicting it? Either that, or you have been doing back and forth. By the way, everyone watching, pay attention whether you're doing a lot of back and forth, affirming and then going to the old story, affirming, going back to the old story. I had a client not so long ago who was telling me that he was doing he was really good at doing affirmations, 10-minute methods several times a day, really focused, getting into the feeling. And then when I asked him what he does in between, he said, yeah, well, that's all negative. And he was complaining that he was exhausted from manifesting. And obviously, because you affirm a lot, you get into the state, it's beautiful, and then you do the negative, and then nothing happens, of course. So make sure you're not doing a back and forth, because that can take forever. If conscious focus creates outcomes and that any failure is due to my unconscious unwanted assumptions overriding it, how can I ever distinguish between genuine personal responsibility and a belief? What do you mean, genuine personal responsibility? Because our beliefs, they do come up to the surface when you start affirming something, and then again it's your responsibility to change the I'm genuinely not sure I understand this. That makes me feel responsible for every problem I perceive, even those I did not consciously choose or cause. Oh. You're not responsible for every problem in the world in that sense, in the sense of our usual known responsibility. Like, it's not your fault. You have beliefs. Most of your beliefs are not even yours. You got them, you inherited them, you heard it from somewhere when you were a child. It's sunk into your subconscious. This is not that kind of responsibility. It's not your fault you have these beliefs. But when you perceive a problem and you desire uh, to experience something different, there it's your responsibility to change the story you have about the situation. Am I making sense? Please let me know. Mhm. Hi, Anna. Oh, hi, Zoya. Glad to attend your live session. Need to hear again from you. Whatever we can imagine is already a reality. It is confirmed. Let me see where I had. Hello, Anna. Hi, Tamar. I am just tired and angry at her for emotional betrayal and silence. I see no progress. That's why your anger is exactly what you need to work with, because your person is you pushed out. You keeping the anger is literally telling the old story that something bad happened and it never got good. Was that English? You know what I mean. Um, so, and I don't mean to suppress and ignore the anger, because suppressing and ignoring a problem doesn't make it go away. You have to change the story so that your anger transmutes um, into something else that you want to experience. So that anger, that negative emotion that you keep hold on to, of course you don't want to, but that's what happens here, is what makes it take longer. I mean, you may or may not have other assumptions that contradict your desired outcome, but this is definitely one. For everyone watching, if you have lots of negative emotions that you want to work with without using imagination, thought process, the mind, I have a course where I guide you through working with emotions only, so that you get rid of the negative emotion and manifest easier. Because once you get rid of the negative emotion, you don't have this reaction to the 3D. That is one way of doing it. Again, another way of doing it is simply changing the story. It seems hard sometimes not going back to the old story. It's crickets in the 3D, but I know it's whatever I decide. Yeah. Whenever it's hard, it's simply a habit, If you're too focused on it being hard, maybe you're not, maybe it's just something you're expressing here. If you're focused on it being hard, affirm the opposite. Affirm that it's easy to focus on the new story. But otherwise, just realize that the old story is actually a habit. That's why it's so effortless. Oh, Zoya is saying the video is getting stuck. Usually when it gets stuck, I see it here when it's on my end. So I don't know if anyone else is experiencing it. Can you share a success story where the circumstances seemed impossible? I have a playlist with success stories on my channel. Every time, by the way, anyone manifests anything, the circumstances feel impossible because you are manifesting something very different from what you are experiencing. So it's all the stories. Anna, what is the best way to revise that someone never existed in my reality? Oh, different ways to revise in general. You can either affirm that this person simply doesn't exist, never existed. They just never existed. Or you remember back to the first time you became aware of the existence of that person and change that part, where it wasn't that person, it was someone else, or it was something completely different altogether, where that person didn't didn't come into the picture. I can consciously focus on something only for a few moments, while billions of assumptions run tirelessly. I made it. Without any focus or mental gymnastics necessary. Yeah, that's true. But when you are focused on something, even for a few moments, what is needed for you to do is to repeat these moments, not necessarily to make it 5 hour long, but come back to that. Because when that assumption takes hold, it will eliminate the other assumptions if you actually focus more on this this new desired chosen assumption rather than doing the back and forth that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, we have millions of assumptions. I don't know how many assumptions we have, but what I was saying earlier is a lot of times we ignore the assumptions that we are actually aware of. We have a feeling that we have this problem, this assumption, but we ignore it because, oh, I don't want to have this assumption, so I just pretend I don't have it. So whatever is needed for you in order to change the story is mostly even in front of you in the 3D. So don't worry about all the other assumptions that you're not aware of. If you pay attention, every assumption that you need in order to change the story that you are aware of is in front of you in the 3D. It's the problem. Hello, Anna. I've been following you for years now. Hey, so happy to hear that. Have you ever thought about how not to manifest negative content from music, lyrics, or movies or books? P.S. I forgot all my main questions. It's okay. You will remember whenever you remember. Put them in the comments. I have had this story a few times with clients. I have had a client who was a songwriter who was really into this dark, negative stories, and she was really good at it. And then I have had a client who was a movie maker who was also like into the everything, and he was like, I need to watch movies, I get my inspiration, etc. So they're different. Again, for every problem there are different solutions. One thing that you can do is to realize that this is just a story. It has nothing to do about me, and don't really get engaged and start feeling and start, I don't know, living this negative story and cry for 2 weeks. Once you realize that this is outside of me, it's just a story, I don't have to identify with it, that sort of separates it from you. Yeah, that's that with one of my clients, the songwriter, what we did at first was I told her, like, maybe can you write some positive songs instead and really get into that, because she was manifesting all the problems that she was singing about. And then she came back a few months later saying, and it's not working. I don't get inspiration from other types of stories. What to do? That is where I said, okay, write it, but just realize while you're writing it that that's not your story. It's not you. Separate yourself from it. And she worked on it. She manifested her career, and she manifested also her SP, which was the manifestation of all those problems that she was writing in her songs. So yeah, separate yourself from those stories. I, for one, I have to say, I thought about this a few days ago. I realized that for years, I haven't been listening to negative songs. It's just like, I don't want it. I think it started with years ago with the thought, I don't want to manifest this, so I just stop. And then it became a habit to not listen to these songs. But I have to admit, there are so many beautiful songs with negative lyrics. But I've I myself, this is a personal thing. This is not the law. This is just a personal thing. I have gotten so dishabituated from listening to these songs that it just doesn't attract me anymore. But yeah, remove your identification with these stories, and that, yeah, just take it as something about other people, about, non-real. Claim whatever you want, like this is not real, this is not me, it's never going to happen. So let me know if you remember your main questions. What are you manifesting? Maybe your questions was about something that you were manifesting. Ooh, I manifested a giant mess and have been doing my best to affirm the opposite for 6 months. I look at the 3D as feedback. I know the law works, but I'm tired. Have you tried affirming this worked out in my favor? Because that is how I manifest solving problems. This worked out in my favor. Every time you think about the problem, no, this has already worked out in my favor. And I use this both about the problems that pop up regarding my manifestations, but also other things. Life happens, something pops up, and I just don't want to deal with it. I always affirm, no, this worked out in my favor. This worked out in my favor. And it always ends up working out somehow. When you are doing something for a long time and it's not working, try simplify it. Affirm the general thing, simplify your routine maybe. But here I would say pay attention to the resistance to your negative thoughts during the day about the situation. Don't accept the negative story in your mind. No, that's not what's happening. It has already been solved. Oh, you're welcome. This is the formula for all manifestations, by the way. We have a story and an experience that we don't want to experience anymore. So we want to experience something else, the desired outcome. What we do, basically, is simply not accept the current story anymore. And the way you don't accept the current story anymore, you replace it with the new story. That's it. The main thing that makes it take such a long time is the back and forth. You do your affirmations, you do your work, but then when the negative pops up, you do that too. And then you dwell on it, and then you feel bad. This is a process of accepting the story. When it pops up, no, that's not what's happening. This has been solved, or your affirmations, or revise even. A manifestation can take a long time also when you are dealing with many emotions and many stories about that same manifestation that you sort of need to change and get through. You need time sometimes to feel your feelings and do your thing, and it's okay. It's not always because it's not working, but generally when you know you're doing the work and it's just not working and it's annoying, mostly it's the back and forth. It's easier for me to do sats than mental diet all day. That makes a lot of sense, because when you do sats, sats is the state akin to sleep. It's a Neville Goddard term, which is when you go to sleep, you sort of get sleepy. It's the few moments before you fall asleep. In that moment, your conscious mind is falling asleep, your subconscious stays awake. The conscious mind is the mind that is contradicting your affirmations. So yes, it's easier, which is wonderful because you should take advantage of it. But mental diet during the day is also important, because if you do sats and then you're all in the negative during the day, that's also not helping your manifestation. Your thoughts are still manifesting, you know. Sats is powerful. It's more powerful because your subconscious is open. It's more receptive. But during the day, if you're continuously repeating the story that is already a belief, you're just reinforcing that. Oh, thank you, Star Goddess Love. Um, about sats, usually when you do it properly and you really get into the state and you fall asleep to that state, it will eliminate a lot of the negativity during the day. But I would still recommend working with it during the day, because when the thought comes up, it's, if you don't accept the negative thought and you replace it with the positive one immediately, at some point the negative story gives up. I have, by the way, I myself personally have manifested things doing sats like this, but also without doing sats and doing mental diet. Both manifest, but still, when you do the sats, and even though I noticed that negative story was less during the day simply because of the sats, some things would still pop up, but then I would refer back to what I was doing at sats, and yes, it's still manifested. But again, I wasn't giving into the negative story. Even thinking about the best case scenario, perfect lover, perfect family, perfect house, perfect money, perfect creative expression, vacations, and everything in between seems just meh. Whatever grand pleasure of the flesh I were to achieve, whatever overwhelmingly exciting activity I were to embark on, all the good living in the world couldn't save me from unexpectedly losing someone I love. Yes, if you're talking about death, that is a topic that, well, everyone needs to find a perspective that works for them. I'm sorry if you have lost someone, if that's why you're saying this, but you are allowed to enjoy your life while you're here. And you have been given your imagination in order to create the life that you desire. So, do you recommend any books or meditations? Oh, this is a good one. I myself have read a lot and read still a lot. Um, Anything from Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy. Neville Goddard is the heavy artillery in manifestation. Joseph Murphy teaches the same things, but his language is a little bit lighter and easier to read. Any lectures from those two also? I do read other authors, but they, first of all, their language is not always easy to grasp. But no, that's not the problem. The problem is that sometimes they say things that could be misunderstood. So if you are, I don't know how new you are to manifestation. If you're new to manifestation, go with Joseph Murphy or Neville Goddard. By the way, Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind is a wonderful book. Wonderful. So start with that one. Can you explain more about persisting in new story when 3D is still reflecting the old story, specifically multiple manifestations at once? Whether it's multiple manifestations at once or it's one manifestation, persisting in your new story when the 3D is reflecting the old story is simply about ignoring the 3D, not ignoring your responsibilities. If you need to do something, I don't know, anything, you just get it done. But what you don't do is to go and dwell on it. You don't dwell on what is happening in the 3D in your mind, because you can not do that. And instead, you simply persist in your affirmations, your imaginal acts, your feeling state, whatever you're doing. The 3D can be a mess, and you can go inside your imagination and think, this worked out so beautifully. I am so happy in this relationship. I have so much money. I am so healthy. As God, I should be able to manifest in the flesh that death never happens, problems don't exist, and everything goes or is exactly the way I want without fail, without mental effort. Do you believe that there is a limit to what we can manifest, that some things just are inherent to life, like death, problems, and uncertainty? No, I do not think there's a limit to what we can manifest. I do think, though, that humans just have a lot of limitations that we believe in a lot, such as problems, death, etc. About the mental effort, you have to remember that you are God in your human form. By the way, since you're mentioning God, and I really love the term God about ourselves, God is your wonderful human imagination, as Neville Goddard says. This is a word we have, at least from the Bible. Neville Goddard's teachings come from the Bible. And yes, you are God, but in your human form, which makes you the Son, which is different in the sense that in being God in your human form limits your experiences. God, as in pure consciousness, experiences everything all at once. In your human form, you have a limited experience. You can't experience two contradicting things. Yeah, you can't experience being healthy and being sick at once. It's one or the other. So in that sense, it's limited. So about the mental effort, as human being, you have beliefs and assumptions. It doesn't have to be an effort. It doesn't have to be a struggle, but there has to be some mental activity in order to change your current beliefs and assumptions. And there will come a time with training where it's easier, it takes less time, it takes less effort. It becomes really an effort and a struggle when we cling on to the old story. Oh, this is just the way it is. I've always been like this, or they've always been like this, etc. And then when you go to the old story, now you have trained. Now, when you go to the new story, now you have trained the old story. It seems that's where resistance comes in. But with training, you will change the story and it will manifest. But there has to be some mental activity, because you already have beliefs and assumptions. You were probably without beliefs and assumptions the moment you were born, or maybe even before that. Not new to manifestation, but I am an example of how you can be very successful and still fall off and have to pick yourself up. By the way, you are not alone in this. It happens to many, many people. I myself have had moments after a lot of experience where I have had doubts. This is, well, unfortunately common, but it's good that you have experience, because then you can look back and say, hey, I did that time or those times, so I can do it again. But yeah, about books, Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, that book has a lot in it, a lot. And could you please explain what the state is? Yes, the state is the person you become, basically. It's let me give you again the negative example, because unfortunately we're so familiar with it. When you're anxious and scared about something, it feels like something in your body. First of all, you're anxious, the anxiousness feels like something in your body, and also it feels really real. That's a state. When you change the story into a positive one that you want to experience, like, for example, that you are loved, that you're beautiful, that you are wealthy, healthy, whatever it is, when you repeat that story, that starts sort of resonating with you, starts feeling like something in your body again. That's a state. The state is also when you are fully focused on something, you're affirming and you're really immersed in your affirmations, and you sort of look out the 3D and you're all in your imagination, in your affirmation, and that story feels real in that moment. That's a state. You stop affirming, you feel like, felt good. That's a state. Tamar says, yes, you always pick yourself up. Yeah, you do. You do. If the 3D is a mirror of the 4D, it means they are one and the same. No separation. Manifesting can be instant, so I revise a lot lately. We are still humans. Yeah, yeah. Manifestation can be instant. The reason it's not instant is because we have the opposite belief that we then go to. These past couple of days, I have had so many small manifestations happen, like so many, one after the other. And this was something that I thought about, and never had an opposing thought about any of these. And the other things that take a little bit longer, I do have a story. I do have assumptions. I work with these just like you do. And this is something I have probably said to every single one of my clients. The more you manifest, the less amount of limiting beliefs you will have, because every time you manifest something, doesn't matter what it is, the act of manifestation is replacing one belief with the other. So after having manifested things, people, situations, money, health, whatever it is, self-concept, you have replaced so many of your limiting beliefs that you don't have that many. So manifestation becomes quicker, more pleasant, more fun. Isn't being human also just an assumption? What if we had the unchanging assumption that we were dolphins? Then you would become a dolphin. In many ways, we are cosplaying a human, and therefore the appearance function of a human. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that, because again, yeah, if you had the assumption that you're a dolphin, then you would become a dolphin. Imagination is, as we were saying earlier, it's God. It's it has created everything that we are experiencing: humans, dolphins, plants, whatever. So it has the ability to transform you into a dolphin. I know this sounds way out there, but yeah. We manifested ourselves into a human being because you being God, you manifested yourself into a human being. You are a manifestation of yourself. I will soon wrap this up. So if you have any other questions, I would love to answer them. Just put them in the comments. By the way, I mentioned Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That has been my very first manifestation book. And I remember reading that book and it was so mind blowing. And I went on to search more things about that stuff that the book was talking about. And then I fell back into law of attraction because that was all that there was a million years ago when I started. And for a long time, I couldn't find anything that resonated as much, that felt so much like the truth, like Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, until I then found Neville Goddard and everything just started making sense. Tamar says revision about dolphins, about being human. What do you mean? Revision is a very underrated tool, by the way. Revision is an amazing tool to change assumptions. Do you have a preferred method in persisting, i.e., scripting, visualize, or affirmations? I like to sting my desires in. What does that mean? Scripting is something extra. It's that extra thing that I do for me. Otherwise, I do everything in my mind, and like I use every aspect of my mind. It all just comes natural. Everything is happening in the mind, whether you're affirming or visualizing or doing any kind of imaginal acts. The idea of persisting is telling one story instead of the other. Whether you do it with visualizations or affirmations, it doesn't matter. We have assumptions about what it means to be human. All scientific explanations are imaginary as all else. We could change our assumptions about what it means to be human. I couldn't agree more about this, to be honest, especially the scientific part. Humans never die, humans fly, humans don't experience anything unwanted, etc. You could. Everything scientific is a manifestation. Speaking of books, I was reading Thomas Troward's The Doré Lectures. I think it was the last one that I wrote. In there, he has a section where he says that everything depends on the infinite intelligence, the God mind, power that we're manifesting from. Everything else is under it. So it's a manifestation of the mind. Call it mathematics, call it whatever it is, health, etc. Because speaking of science, a couple thousand years ago, they couldn't imagine to have airplanes, right? That's not really us flying, it's a machine that flies, but that would have been impossible. Try going back to the ancient Romans or the ancient Greeks or the ancient whoever and tell them about, or not even that long, go back a couple hundred years, 300 years, and tell them about flying from country to country. That would have been impossible. And in the same way, now everything we can't imagine possibly happening is the same situation. Until somebody imagines and manifests it, you know. Oh, Toma was asking my thoughts on revision. Revision is a wonderful thing. Like, it's a wonderful, magical thing. Just like SATs, just like visualization. Revision is, in my opinion, the way I have come to experience it, it works just the same as visualization or affirmations. It's just, you know, when you visualize, you choose from possibilities. When you revise, you still choose from possibilities. Highly recommend revision. Hi, Anna. Could you please explain how to manifest when you're under a time crunch? Yes. I mentioned something similar earlier. The best and quickest way to manifest something is to literally get into the feeling of having it right now. It's all happening right now. And another best thing that you can do is to simply not let yourself give in to doubts, negative stories whenever that comes up. No, that's not what's happening. It has already happened right now. I have it. I'm doing it. Completely immerse yourself in it being true right now, because there's no closer in time than now. Is it necessary to do self-love meditations, affirmations before manifesting an SP? Necessary, no. Highly recommended, yes. But also necessary, no, not before manifesting an SP. You can do them together. You don't have to manifest your perfect self-love before you go on to manifesting SP. No, do them together. Do both, definitely, but do them together. You can manifest both things at once. Also because speaking of experience, as someone who has manifested self-concept, worked a lot on my self-concept, there's a huge chunk of work that you do at first, but it's never ending. You're never going to stop, like, at one point of, okay, I'm going to love myself this much and never expand. No. This is going to be an ever expanding thing, and in a very beautiful way. So you don't have to wait to manifest SP in order to manifest self-love. Do both. You are right. If it's all assumptions, then what are the rules? There are no rules. The only rule is that you manifest anything that you think and believe and imagine and tell yourself to be true. That's the only rule. Everything else is invented. Would love for you to elaborate more on revision. I'll say things like, I've always had orbits, always been this way. I sing or use music to help in persisting in my desires. New story. Oh, this was a different topic. You can affirm. You can revise through affirmations. Like, I've always been loved. I've always been healthy. I have always been wealthy. I come from a wealthy family. I come from a healthy family. I don't know. It's always been like that for me. That is a generic way of revising, Or you can revise a specific moment where something went wrong, which is then you change that story, either through affirmations or visualizations. That is very personal, what you prefer. But that specific scene that you would change is quite easy to do with visualization also, which a generic, the topic of your life, like is a bit challenging. Maybe you could visualize having a conversation with someone and saying the same thing, but then you might as well affirm. It has always been like this for me. I use a playlist to shift states. It feels good. If anything feels good, keep doing it. I heard from another channel of coaches that a person should be willing to call SP instead of waiting for the other to reach out in no contact. Why? Is my question. Neville says there's no need to lift a finger, which is okay. Whenever in doubt, go to Neville, please. That is like, you should be willing. Why should you be willing? I have manifested things, including SPs, where I forced myself to sit on my hands and not do a thing, because I have told these stories in other videos too, I think, where I also got the instinct, oh, I could just text them, I could just do this, and then no, I want the experience that this happens to me. And then it happened again and again. So no, you don't have to lift a finger. The word should is pushing someone's idea onto someone else, and this is not how manifestation works. If you don't want that, you shouldn't. I love your mind, and I am so grateful that you are here. Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much, Johanna. I really appreciate it. Johanna or Johanna? Thank you, Anna. Lots of love. Bye, everyone. Bye, Yara. Once you understand manifestation, we sort of have to get over ourselves when we study manifestation, because yes, we have lots of limiting beliefs and our human limited experience, all the limiting beliefs that we have learned from society that has been sold to us as that's just how life is, that's just how it is. If the doctor says it, then they know better. We sort of need to get over ourselves and accept the fact that these are all assumptions. It's all assumptions. And bring manifestation back to its simplest idea, which is assumptions manifest reality, or imagination creates reality. However you want to put it, it's all the same. If my assumptions manifest and I start assuming that I am XYZ, I don't know, dolphin, then if that can't manifest, then someone has to put a limit somewhere, right? And where does that limit go? Who puts the limit? Where do you decide? I've also heard people say, oh, maybe you can't manifest everything. Some people, yes, other people, no. Where does the limit go? Maybe you can't manifest that amount of money without working. Maybe you can't manifest everything. Where does the limit go? Someone has to explain. A couple of years ago, I tried manifesting an SP and it didn't work. Now that I met a new SP, I'm having difficulty thinking it will manifest this time. How to navigate this assumption? Oh, this is a common one. You revise this story that you can do it different ways. Again, nothing I say here is a rule. It's a recommendation. You can revise this. It did work. You are good with manifesting SPs. You can even revise that you actually manifested the other SP if you want to. Otherwise, you simply tell your story yourself. When this doubt comes up, you can tell yourself, Okay, it didn't manifest that time, but it manifested this time. Create that assumption. Didn't manifest that time because, I don't know, I didn't know what I was doing. Now I know what I'm doing, so therefore it manifested this time. This is probably the simplest way to go about it. Hello, Anna. Should I do a revision on the spot when I see something I don't like in the 3D if I want to manifest within a time crunch? Oh, yeah, that's one thing you can do. That, and also your thoughts, your doubts, specifically your doubts. Revision on the spot is a wonderful thing also. It's a great way to not accept the current reality, whatever is happening. Unless you guys have other questions, I will wrap this up for this time. Of course, I will do more of these live Q&As here and there. Otherwise, if anyone is new to my channel, I post many manifestation videos. What a relief it is to realize that behind the scenes there exists nothing but my own mind, imagination. There are no secret plans, no enemies. Yes, yes. No one talking behind your back, no destiny, no God, no nothing. Yes, no demon, but only what you imagine there to be. Isn't it obvious how you are creating layers upon layers of imagination based upon the empty appearance that you call the present moment? It is such a relief and so wonderful when you get rid of these things, like the destiny part, like very religious, the demons, etc., where you can manifest the life that you actually desire, and you can figure out what you desire, not the things that you have learned that you should have or do, but what do I want? I can actually have it, and there's nothing outside of me that decides that I can't have it. Tamar says, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much for being here, Tamar. My daughter wants to manifest moving from one place to another. Her funds and resources are limited. That's the 3D circumstance. Any advice? Stay in the end. She has already moved, which means that she had the funds and resources, right? Somehow it worked out. So she has already moved. Don't focus on the how. That's the best advice, probably. That's what AI told her. Thank you. AI is you pushed out. Yeah, stay in the end with any manifestation. So once again, thank you so much for being here with me. I have really enjoyed this Q&A, as I always do. Oh, I meant what I told her, not AI. That's wonderful. Yeah, stay in the end. You're welcome, Star Goddess Love, and thank you everyone for being here. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to mention, if anyone wants to join my Master Manifestor group coaching, you're welcome to send me an email. Group coaching is still a coaching. It's not a class. It's not even like this where you type, I talk. We have conversations about your manifestations, and it's more persistent, consistent, which was the main reason I created these groups. And it's a monthly thing. So this month I've already started with the groups. from next month. If anyone wants to join, you're welcome to send me an email, or I also have one-on-one coaching, a couple of courses in the description. Thank you so much, and I have a great rest of your day. You guys too. Have a great day, evening, wherever you are, and see you next time.